Hey everybody, it's Tony from Appalachian Dual Sport, and I'm here with my 2001 Georgie Boy Pursuit. I'm trying to install some Hellwig rear sway bars on this thing, and I guess step one is to remove these shackles off the rear leaf spring axle setup so you can install a plate. And my bolts were so rusted that they would not move. I couldn't get a socket on them really because it's so deep. I think they're about 29 millimeter, and then I had to go out and buy a deep socket. Finally got that on there. Couldn't get a power tool on there like an impact wrench because it's so close to the ground, so I had to just try to wrench it. Wasn't budging. Then I hacksawed the bolt off, or the shackle off, and look at that thing, hardened steel. I'm sure took forever. Using a battery powered hacksaw sawzall, and man, it took forever. And so I'm still trying to get the other one off. This is just a pain in the butt. I've got barely any room to move, and I totally smashed my forehead when I was trying to use my socket with a pry bar to get these stupid bolts to move. But you can see how little room there is. I even soaked the bolts with some PB Blaster, and they just don't want to move at all. And anyway, I'm going to get in here and try to hacksaw these suckers off so I can get this done. This is just a huge pain in the butt. Okay, so after a day of struggling with this crap, I found my answer. Cutoff wheel. Way easier than the Sawzall. I was going through 2-3 blades per side trying to cut through this stuff. Super hard. So the cutoff wheel was the answer that I was looking for. I mean, you know, this is my look now with these freaking goggles on to block the spray, but it's pretty tight in there, and I mean there's brake lines possibly in the way, so you got to be super careful. But knowing what I know now, I probably would have just paid somebody to do this job because it is a pain in the rear. Okay, so here I am underneath the RV, wrapping up my Hellwig rear sway bar install on this Ford F53 chassis. It's a 2001 Georgie Boy. Anyway, I've got everything hooked up, but the real problem here is for the install, these 3 bolts here had to be removed. Well, my chassis is kind of rusty, and these bolts were impossible to get removed. I can't even get a tool on it because of this leaf spring. So these 2 bolts I couldn't even get a tool on really, other than an open-ended box wrench. And by hand trying to turn these bolts was insanely, didn't happen. That bolt up there I was able to get an impact wrench on, and it wouldn't even move it. It would not a budge, didn't even move half a fraction of an inch. So what I did, and this, I don't know if this is going to hold or what, but I cut the factory Hellwig mounting plate, and I had it welded to the chassis. Now my welder guy couldn't get a bead in here, but he beat it on that side and the back side. And then I ran just a couple smaller grade 8 bolts through this by drilling through here and mounting it to there. I don't know for sure if that's going to hold, but literally that was the only way I could do it. Once I got these plates on, you know, the shackles here were, again, the bolts that I had on my shackles were just, they wouldn't move. I was able to get them to budge a little bit, but then they bound up, probably because of all the rust and everything. I ended up just sawing through the shackles using a cutoff wheel on a grinder, and I was originally trying to use a sawzall, and that was just, I was going through 3 blades per shaft of the shackle. Now, so that wasn't going to work, so I got out a cutoff wheel and got it off. But once this plate went on, and I figured out how to get this mounted, the rest of the install went pretty quick and easy. Now it's an extremely heavy bar, so trying to do this with one person, just me under here, was tough. This literally was the toughest mechanical job I've ever undertaken by myself on any vehicle I've ever owned. It was frustrating. It took me days, but it's now all mounted up. I'm just praying that this plate holds. I mean, I suspect the loads are going to be up and down, so God, I just pray it holds. But anyway, the instructions from Hellwig aren't great. For example, you can figure out pretty much which bolt goes where, but there were a number of washers and stuff included. I didn't know which washer went where, really. It also doesn't explain. See how the bar's got a little bit of a bend and it's kind of pointing down? In the picture, you can see, there's one picture, it shows that the bar mounted and it's kind of pointing down like this, so I figured that's the way it's mounted. But really, honestly, the directions from Hellwig are not great, and they need more pictures and more clear installation instructions. So, anyway, guys and gals, this thing is on. I'm going to take it for a test drive and see how much of a difference it made, but hopefully it makes a big difference. And that's it. If I were to do it all over, I would just simply pay somebody to do it because it was such a huge pain. All right, I hope this has been helpful. Adios. An exciting conclusion to this Hellwig sway bar epic journey. I did notice that we just took a trip from southern West Virginia up here to Cleveland, and I gotta say that the Hellwig sway bar made a huge difference. Now, just to recap, I've only put the rear kit on, and I put new bushings for the factory sway bar. They were completely shot, so I put new bushings in for that. And those two changes has transformed the motorhome. I mean, no joke, this isn't just some BS. I mean, before the motorhome, when it became unstable, it would sit there and rock and then slowly settle back down, and then it would become stable. When trucks and things were passing me, I didn't notice a huge buffeting, but it would become unstable. What really seemed to unstabilize the RV the most were like frost heaves, or whatever you want to call them, in the roadway. That would cause the coach to do this. To the point, like I said before, I think, to the point where my wife, who was following me, noticed the RV swaying, and other cars, she was saying, would be moving out of the way to get out of my way because they thought maybe I was going to lose control. But I got to tell you, the Hellwig kit, huge difference. It really helped to mellow the sway down. I still get some sway at low speed, like if you're going over a speed bump or something. The RV does sway back and forth, but it's just a couple times. But now on the highway, really, I'm just noticing almost no sway. So I do have a front sway bar for the RV, but I don't think I'm going to install it because there's almost no point. I mean, I've controlled what I've set out to control, so I'm pretty happy with it, and I think it's definitely a worthwhile upgrade. So leave any comments you might have, and I appreciate you watching.